Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia. It's time for High Velocity Careers. Brought to you by Kennesaw State University's Executive MBA program, the accelerated degree program for working professionals looking to advance their career and enhance their leadership skills. For more information, go to kennesaw.edu/EMBA. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to another exciting and informative edition of High Velocity Careers. Stone Payton here with you this afternoon. This is going to be a good one. Please join me in welcoming to the broadcast Executive Director with Georgia Fintech Academy, Laura Gibson-Lamothe. How are you?
I am so good. Thank you for asking. I'm excited about our conversation today with High Velocity Careers. This is an exciting topic, and I'm always evangelizing on behalf of careers in fintech. So this should be a good one.
We are clearly right in your wheelhouse. It may be a good place to start. Can you share with our listening audience a little bit about your career path?
Yes. My career path is an interesting one. Academically, I undergrad focused on fine arts. I had a passion for the creative side of things, and being interested in fine arts and approaching potentially graphic design as my career focus was something that came to a head post-graduation when I realized I couldn't make as much money as I had hoped with that degree. I did not want to be a starving artist, I must say. I took a paid internship at the United States Patent and Trademark Office, which sounds very official, in Washington, D.C., where I did a system server migration initiative. And I led over 300 hardware installations for a very intense government-funded initiative. And that was my gateway into tech, which led me into banking. I no regrets looking back and reflecting on my life decisions to kind of pivot early in my career. But I like to say that fine arts degree gave me all of the cutting edge on being creative in the design and how I articulate messages, whether it be internal presentations or external customer facing engagement. So I've definitely put that fine arts degree to good use.
You certainly did. And now you're the grand poobah of Georgia Fintech Academy. How would you describe mission, purpose? What are you and your organization really trying to do for folks?
Yeah, we are bridging the gap between academia and industry by providing a full variety of services for our students. We engage with the 26 institutions underneath the university system of Georgia, which are all the public colleges and universities. We provide curriculum as a service, I like to call it. So we enable the offering of fintech degrees. And then we offer a whole suite of other services, programming, which is really specifically targeted towards providing students visibility into the multiple career pathways in the industry, providing them access to a network, giving them exposure into those very tough timelines for application to internship windows and even long-term full-time position opportunities. Our focus is to help students get staffed, provide them the education, create exposure into the opportunities in the industry, and then to help facilitate that connectivity into those opportunities for employment. And so it's been a tremendous journey to, over the past 5 years, see the evolution of that program. We've engaged over 8,000 students. We've placed almost 3,000 that we can track, because tracking is quite laborious. And unfortunately, data is hard to come by, but we've been able to start sharing some of these success stories of students who have come in maybe outside of a STEM or STEAM related discipline. Some who have, from the beginning, really targeted some more tech roles, tech focused roles with a fintech vertical or a fintech lens. But seeing them progress to the point where they're now on the industry side, really paying it forward and kind of helping, the future generations navigate their, career entrance into the industry is a rewarding opportunity to see that evolution.
Well, I don't pretend to know what they are, but I have to believe there must be an incredible variety of career opportunities available in fintech, probably a bunch of roles and responsibilities that not even on my radar, yeah?
Yes, I love to start those conversations with defining what is fintech. I think a lot of people have different views on what fintech, aka financial technology, stands for. And for us, for our perspective, it's literally anyone that operates within that broader ecosystem. So fintech, financial technology, thinking payments and how people interact as human beings with payments, with finances. It's an enabling mechanism, bringing cutting edge solutions so that people can transact on the go. Most students that I talk to, they're very familiar with Venmo and Cash App, but thinking about banking, thinking about all of the retail, scenarios where people are using their mobile wallets or their Apple Watch to pay, and Apple Pay to Google Pay and all of these different wallet, formations. Students can really relate to leveraging that technology. And on the back end, there's so many different services that support that, from, cybersecurity and info security to, data science and machine learning, from a fraud perspective, or just being able to provide tailored customer experiences and different types of scenarios and use cases. The opportunities are quite broad. And so I always tell students, especially for me being a fine arts major, as we started off with this call, and I've I continued my education. I explored, technical certifications. I have kind of a mixed bag of variety of education along the way, along with my professional experiences. But I can say the industry opportunities are broad. It could be anything from, project management, which many people are familiar with. It's cross multiple different industries, to product management, people that are influencing the new products, the new features that customers, consumers are interacting with, to, folks who are fingers to keys, developing, developers, engineers, and then even cybersecurity analysts and folks that are really at the helm of protecting data, protecting the environment that contains all of the information and the technology that's keeping these technologies running, to even we're now exploring, some newer trends. AI has been a huge focus on, from an industry perspective, and then also academically. And people keep talking about generative AI specifically, and, prompt engineering. How can you leverage these technologies to advance the way that we operate, and maybe even gain some efficiencies? And so there's roles abound. And I think I might have highlighted already 8 of them. But those are kind of the traditional ones that we, tend to see a lot of students come in from an early talent perspective. And things just expand beyond there, beyond that point.
Well, your enthusiasm is contagious, and it just comes out over the airwaves in fabulous form. And you did hint at this a little bit earlier in the conversation, but what are you finding at this point in your career in this field? What are you finding the most rewarding? What's the most fun about it these days for you?
I think for me, it's looking at ways to provide the students that we serve a cutting edge, a competitive edge in the industry. So I think for me, moving the needle means getting students the opportunity for, yes, exposure in a network, which is extremely important. I constantly am reinforcing to students to take advantage of these opportunities to connect with the volunteers, the guest leader speakers that we have that are dedicating their time, to the academy in itself. But then also being able to kind of rationalize ways where we can really provide students opportunities to really demonstrate what they've learned, or learn in unique ways. One example of this is we really focus on experiential learning as part of what we do at the Academy, outside of the traditional coursework that a student might have taking a specific class. and learning through that class certain competencies. There's a real special, I feel like the secret sauce is being able to bring industry into that academic setting. Most likely through a capstone project or a project type of initiative or a mini hackathon, I call it. But during that duration of that course, giving students a problem statement, a challenge, letting them, demonstrate what they've learned in front of industry to then have conversations that lead to potentially hiring opportunities and staffing opportunities. That's one of those things that I feel like is a huge asset that the Fintech Academy has to offer and provide across the university system. And we look to broker those industry relationships with our academic partners to help facilitate that. The other thing is we do, and we're starting to do more of them, university-wide events and hackathons. We did recently a Run It by the Buyers, which is kind of like a junior Shark Tank, where we gave out just over 6,000 in scholarship monies. So students were able to pitch their idea, their innovative payments / fintech solution to industry. And I'm using air quotes. You can't see on the podcast, but air quotes for buyers, folks who you would potentially be interested in investing, from a venture capital perspective in those solutions. So almost a mock style pitch day. And these students pitched, they were, down selected to a finalist group. And we had students from UGA to Kennesaw and Georgia State all participate in this competition. And we're looking to do more of those in 2025. That's a really meaningful opportunity. But again, it gets students in the front, kind of exhibition style, demonstrating what they've learned, demonstrating their skills, and then building those relationships real time to get those job opportunities.
Well, I got to say, listening to you, this conversation is bringing into abundant focus for me. It's challenging a preconceived notion, I guess, or a bit of a bias that I had. I guess me and maybe other lay people, when it comes to fintech, think of it as a very transactional ecosystem. But boy, this work and to be successful in the field is so grounded in relationship, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, I wish I knew what I know now back in the day. I tell you, coming out, I remember my first time in the banking world, everyone told me, I was in my early 20s, like everyone knows everyone, such a small, tight-knit group. And I'm like, how could it be tight-knit when there's folks everywhere scattered across the US, globally? The world just seems so big. But in the reality, now that I've been, in the industry for almost 20 years, it is quite small. And my network is even bigger than I once thought it was. I come across people, people move from, bank to bank or financial institution to another financial institution to a fintech startup. And we all are interconnected, or what do you call it? 1 degree of separation away from each other. And I think, now I hear panels constantly talking about network. Back in the day, I think we were so reliant on just demonstrating value, contributing to an organization, getting some, big wins and successes. But that can't be done without, truly also being your own PR, building your network, having connectivity internally within the organization or the company you work for and externally. It's the opportunity for internal growth and promotion, and then also industry growth and promotion. There's opportunities everywhere. You never know when you're going to need that connection that you have to get to where you need to be. And so I promote all the time network, but yes, the industry does feel so small. And I recently went to Amsterdam for a conference, and lo and behold, I'm walking in the showroom floor and people were like, Laura, how are you doing? And I'm like, I wasn't expecting to see you all the way out here in Amsterdam, but I am truly to this day still amazed at like how we're so, connected and how small the world seems to be. But yes, completely agree with you. The network is the most powerful thing. And yes, this industry does seem small at times.
Well, it's impressive that the enterprises, the industry leaders that you've gotten involved in this effort, it sounds like they're coming to speak. They're participating fully. And it occurs to me that some of this is genuinely some enlightened self-interest because they want to, as much as anyone, kind of close the gap a bit between what a traditional graduate has coming out of this domain and what they really need. They're in the workforce, right?
Yeah, I think of it this way, what better way to, source talent that already is, best prepared to transition into your organization. And I think, doing some of these experiential learning projects is a great example of that. We've had students who have, done some brainstorming around innovation concepts for a business, and it required that company to, dedicate a couple of hours volunteering, telling them about what the company does and what the business does and how it's growing and some of the strategic priorities for them. And then the students came out of this business challenge with recommendations and a solution, but they also learned about the organization, right? Like when at the end of the day, if they were, to pursue an opportunity at this company, they're not starting from scratch. They know who a Visa is or an FIS is. They know even some of the terminology because they learned that in the classroom. They learned, some of the opportunities and some of the challenges that they're facing as a company. And so they come in just a little bit ahead of the curve. They're not like coming in fresh. They're coming in with some background, some insights, and some knowledge. And so I think that is a win-win for both the student and for the employer, giving the student the opportunity, the exposure, and the experience, and then giving the employer an opportunity to even influence and see how students are able to adapt and apply some of the, critical thinking skills and soft skills as well.
Well, this relationship oriented ethos, value system, mindset, coupled with, and you've mentioned it several times, experiential learning. First of all, vastly different than my little bit of formal education. I'll tell you that. But I have to believe it also sort of sets a marvelous foundation for lifelong learning. I mean, that would, if you're going to experience learning that way, you're going to continue, you're going to be a life learner, aren't you?
Yeah, you're right. It's a pattern that can be repeated. And I'm also interested and encouraged to see it happen on both sides, not only from a student perspective, but from the career professionals who are volunteering. We're seeing the same thing. And it's almost an entry point to kind of like refresh or vitalize some of those thoughts of continuing their educational journey or going back and getting a certification of some sort. And so we do see it on both sides. And some of these themes that are being taught are best practices no matter what industry you enter. I was joking around with some folks earlier today around our focus on innovation and design thinking concepts. I applied some of those concepts and I should say principles to how I plan my personal life. I'm going on vacation, hopefully. I'm in the process of filling out this spreadsheet that I like to use for my personal life. I'm a project manager at heart, and I love to have things organized. And I use some of these things that I've learned from a functional perspective professionally in my personal life as well. So yeah, there's opportunities abound to apply what they're learning and to continue that evolution of continuous learning and growth and development.
So let's dive into the nuts and bolts logistics of this thing. If I'm a student within this multi-institution group, there's a path for me to learn about this. These are courses I take. Walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's unique to each institution. So within the university system, we have these collaborative agreements with each institution. And so we're behind the scenes from a curriculum perspective, opening up the curriculum to be leveraged by these institutions. And so if you were, for example, like Kennesaw State, you would come through the fintech program, potentially get a fintech certificate in fintech, or you could even pursue what they're offering now is the MS in digital financial technologies. And so there's multiple pathways for you at that specific university. And it would be accessible through advisors, through the faculty, through your normal typical registration process. There's nothing new, and it should be transparent to the student that's coming by way of that university. One of the fascinating things to add, though, to that point is the fact that we're really unique in the fact that we have a network of faculty that are spread across multiple institutions. And so you might be taking a course at Kennesaw State in fintech, but taught by a professor at a different university. And vice versa. We have Kennesaw State, faculty. They're also a part of the faculty network teaching core courses that are offered at other institutions as well. And so this shared model, almost a shared service across the university system, is very unique, but it's powerful because it's enabling institutions who might not necessarily have the infrastructure or the faculty, experienced faculty or the credentials to offer, these degrees or some of these courses, the ability to tap into that core set of courses and curriculum.
The depth and breadth of what you're able to provide, and I don't know if it's the right word or not, but the diversity of thought is that is incredible.
It is.
Now, you have also taken specific interest in serving very specific constituencies within this arena as well. Isn't there something like Paytech Women or something like that you're involved with?
Yes. So Paytech Women is a nonprofit organization focusing on moving the needle for diversity and for women in the payments and fintech ecosystems. It's an amazing relationship because we have joined a little bit of what we're doing at the Fintech Academy with Paytech Women organization. Oh. I've been on the board. This will be I'm coming up on my 4th year as a board member, always looking for ways to, engage and to increase our member base. But one thing that we've identified as a service to our Georgia Fintech Academy community, which is, the universities that we're speaking of, is to extend those services to them. So students who are, enrolled in undergrad can sign up for an account to become a member and take advantage of mentorship, job board postings, in-person sessions, online virtual webinars. All of these resources extend to them. We, Paytech Woman has a annual leadership summit, which we just had recently here in Atlanta. Companies from across the U.S. travel to Atlanta, and they're big brand names like Discover, for example, who hosted a lot of our students at some on campus at the conference events and a private company dinner as well. Just talking about career opportunities at Discover and networking with these students. And so there's been a lot of time, just benefit in seeing, how these two pieces can come together to extend resource and opportunity to students who are interested in fintech and payments.
I don't know when or how or where you would find the time. I was encouraged to hear you mention vacation earlier in the conversation, but I'm interested to know interest, pursuits, hobbies outside the scope of your work. Anything you have a tendency to nerd out about that's not Fintech Academy?
Yeah, it's funny because I'm on borderline insanity when it comes to this job. I am relentless when it comes to opportunities for students. I do appreciate the fact that I can't be everywhere all the time. And it's one of those opportunities for me as I continue to evolve alongside with the Fintech Academy, develop what that looks like. But for me, my passions outside of this include travel. I love travel. And when I think about travel globally, for me, I was born in Italy. I grew up abroad. My father played professional basketball overseas. So I lived in Israel, Holland, Spain, came back in the States in middle school. But for me, I've always had kind of a global view. And in my career, it's enabled me. I like to say fintech is, money, and there's money in money. You can make money in money. And for me, it enabled financial stability, financial independence, all of these things that supported my opportunities to really enjoy some of these things I'm passionate about that you're hitting on, like travel. And I love traveling. And now it's actually kind of intersecting, not to bring back, because I know you were asking about my personal life, but like it's allowed opportunities for me to connect with universities globally. Like we went to Ireland this summer with the American Transaction Processors Coalition, and signed a cooperative agreement with two universities in Belfast and in Dublin. And there are opportunities to collaborate and leverage. They're interested and have developed a fintech program. They have a smaller but robust curriculum. They're doing apprenticeships and some other things that we have not yet embarked on that journey here in the U.S. for the Fintech Academy. But I get to kill two birds with one stone. Personal trip, love travel. Secondarily, there's also a thing that I can do to help drive and promote what we're doing at the Fintech Academy. It's a win-win.
I am so glad that I asked. Before we wrap, let's leave our listeners, if we could, students, business leaders alike, with a couple things to chew on, be thinking about. Sometimes I refer to them as pro tips, maybe even what we in the larger business community and the media world, what we can be doing to help. But let's leave them with a little something to chew on.
Yeah, I think for, the experienced professional audience, for me, it's more of giving a call to action. If you're not giving back, if you're not mentoring, then what are you doing with your time? Mm-hmm. Investing in the next generation is investing in the future. And to be honest, I can personally attest that I would not be where I am today if I had not had influence directly by folks who volunteered their time and mentored me throughout my career. And so I constantly am promoting and advocating for folks to volunteer for those opportunities by way of the Fintech Academy, if that's something of interest, or just, locally at any of your institutions at the high school level, in college. Folks need people to help support what they're trying to do to help move the needle for our students. And then secondly, from a student perspective, I know times are challenging, and I've noticed, post-pandemic, there's almost new social anxieties and stresses that our students are facing. And I just, like to impress upon students to put themselves out there, be vulnerable, connect with people. We mentioned earlier, the network is the most powerful thing. Take advantage of all of the opportunities that you have. For us, we promote open it up to almost anyone who is at the undergraduate or graduate level. Doesn't matter if you're in the university system of Georgia or not. We have plenty of opportunities that are externally facing and public on our website, georgiafintechacademy.org. And so I really like to impress upon people to take advantage of these resources because they are resources. And if you're ever in need to, pursue opportunities in fintech or want to explore what that would look like, we have a whole, roster of resources out there that kind of help you navigate those decisions and provide you some foundational knowledge in what that would look like for you. So those two pieces, I think I would like to leave with everyone to engage and to connect and to network.
That is marvelous counsel and just all around good mojo. Let's leave them with that website again and any other coordinates you might want them to have.
Yeah, I would go out to the georgiafintechacademy.org website. For those that are interested in volunteer, it's just georgiafintechacademy.org/volunteer. Simple form. There's 4 different ways to really volunteer and connect with us. We also are on LinkedIn heavily, so look at our Georgia Fintech Academy member page out on LinkedIn. We are constantly promoting a lot of our events and our collaborations with industry out there. So give us a follow. We also have recently stood up our YouTube channel, which is easily found under Georgia Fintech Academy, as well as Instagram, because that's how students like to consume content these days. So we're hip. We're hip and fresh at the Georgia Fintech Academy.
Well, Laura, it has been an absolute delight having you on the broadcast this afternoon. Thank you for your insight, your perspective, your enthusiasm, the momentum that you guys have gained. The work that you and your team are doing is so important for so many, and we sure appreciate you.
Thank you so much. You've been a great host, and I've really enjoyed this conversation and really appreciate it.
My pleasure. All right, until next time, this is Stone Payton for our guest today, Laura Gibson-Lamothe, Executive Director with Georgia Fintech Academy, and everyone here at the Business RadioX family saying we'll see you next time on High Velocity Careers.